one of the things that we learned from our ancestors, and that is one of the things I learned in Africa, is that we made altars that were temporary. I've been in villages in which the various images that were needed at the time were created for that moment. And then once we finished our prayers, they dissipated. That's one of the things that our ancestors brought here to this continent, to the Western Hemisphere. And if you can imagine our ancestors coming here, many of them, I have pictures because I also am a historian, in which children came as young as age 5 or younger, because African children know how to work. And African children, you know, our people were brought here because we understood, and we were an agricultural community. And the folks who came here didn't know anything about agriculture, so they had to go get us so we could come and not only to clear the land and to build, but also to grow the foodstuffs and so on and so forth. So we had the ingenuity to be able to do what was necessary to build what occurred here. And of course, we still are struggling, trying to be recognized for what it is that the ancestors have done. But there was never any time at which our ancestors did not try to obtain their freedom. No one ever came into this experience willingly, which is the reason why we were chained and bound. So at any given time, there were always many, many runaway communities, as they like to refer to. Some Maroons, they have now many different names, but they were folk who couldn't stand it and said, I will die first.
That's
Somehow,
right.
I'm getting away from here because I'm going to run away. But even when they ran away and started their communities, they were starting African communities.
That's right.
They were not starting European communities. It was African communities, and they were recreating what they understood, which was their African community.
Right.
So one of the first things that they would do is to build some sort of an altar. Why? So they could focus, to bring in the energy that Sister Mona Cherie just brought into them, to guide them in terms of where they had to go. Now, whether that was a temporary, whether they did something in a tree, or they took a mound of earth to make an issue, or whatever, but it was something so that they could communicate with the ancestors to know, okay, the North Star is there, now what? How am I going to get across this river with no boat?
Amen.
How am I going to do these kinds of things? So the purpose for our ancestors is to give us root, and to give us meaning, and to give us strength, and to give us knowledge to be able to take our rightful place and move forward. So when we recreate an altar, that's the energy that we are trying to create if it's an ancestral altar.